Hi everyone, I'm a happy camper this week because I really had this epiphany about what this project should be and how important the playfulness about the project is. The Marble Machine is not a functional project, it's an artistic sculpture. Let's look at how a more playful Marble Machine should look. So to make this concrete, I have built a stage. We have some speakers and a huge crowd as well. I'm only joking. There's the crowd. Who am I kidding? I can't have this puny little crowd, so let's do a rectangular pattern. There's crowd. Yay! And you know why all these people got the tickets to see the machine that is soon going to show up on this stage? Because it's playful. Because it's light-hearted. Fun, right? We live on a tiny little stone going through space. It's right there. What else should we do than have fun, right? Okay, here's the Marble Machine fans. You can see they're very well behaved, and all of them have the exact same exhilaration in front of this concert. So they're wondering like, what is the machine going to look like? And the intro music comes on, and boo! What is this crap? This crap has only 90 degrees. It doesn't look like a cohesive sculpture. All single modules. This guy is like stamping on the heart of the machine by being on top of the machine, like the machine has no self-worth. Boo, boo, boo. You can already see the audience is leaving the concert. I'm by myself with my functional Marble Machine, playing music to myself. No one cares. Only 90-degree angles. And so here's the first thing. Why is there only 90-degree angles? So I thought that it was really important to have only parallel shafts. If we look at this image, all shafts are parallel, which is pretty easy to construct, but everything is facing the same direction, and that creates a very non-dynamic visual look. On the original machine, all shafts were parallel, but this looks dynamic. But why is that? Well, we're looking at the machine from a corner angle. So let's try that on the stage here. It doesn't really work, right? Well, you can see that some of the audience is returning. They think this looks more interesting, but like this part of the machine is just, it doesn't work because the new machine needs to be larger to perform the music I want it to perform. To make this one viewing angle look really interesting and dynamic, like I did on the previous machines, both this one and this one are kind of built to look good out of the vanity angle I used to call it when I was designing these machines. I can't really do that on this machine when it looks like this. So can we solve it in another way? Maybe we can. So what happens if we can put shafts at angles like this? So let's, for example, say that this is a 45-degree angle. Can we make shafts work at an angle like this? Yes, we can. If we allow the use of cardan joints, here is a good example of a cardan joint. We can actually angle shafts in any degree we like. But when I started to design, I was like, cardan joints? No, that is not as engineering efficient as just a straight parallel shaft. It just induces problems with backlash, and it's not as precise for musical timing, etc., etc. I just said, no, all shafts need to be parallel. That was how I thought 1.5 weeks ago, okay? But now, when I realized that the looks are so important, could we use cardan joints to achieve some kind of resemblance to the original Marble Machine form factor? Let's find out. Let's forget this sketch and let's use some cardan joints. Hey! Look at that! What does that mean? Well, the audience is returning right away. Look at that. They love cardan joints. I mean, you better be at the show early because you won't see the marbles from back here. Don't take this sketch as gospel. I'm just fooling around with form factors. But what I have done here is that I have angled the instruments in towards the center. If we look at the top here, the drums and the vibraphone are standing at 45 degrees. And by the use of cardan joints and bevel gears, we can actually accomplish this. This angle makes so much for the impression. In the old machine, the music instruments were kind of not caring about each other. They weren't playing together at all. In the new version, it feels more like a band. Like there's communication between the drum kit and the vibraphone. It just feels much more dynamic. If we look at it straight from the front, you can see that this angle of the drums here is the same angle that we have on the original machine. So look at that resemblance there. This type of skeleton clocks are called large wheel skeleton clocks. And I find it interesting how they're often being portrayed from this corner angle, which is the same angle that I liked the first machines to be portrayed from. As you can see here, the structure is internal and the wheels are hanging on the outside, and it creates this amazing display of the mechanics. So if you look at this design right here, and we'll go back to this, they have the same identity, like I am one piece. This looks more like a factory of some kind. This design still has a little bit of the same problem. It's too spread out. It doesn't feel like one piece, but I am going to put all this together. And that's the next thing I want to talk about, because when you understand your machine in modules, you can break them out and design them in modules, and at the very end, tie everything together, just like they do in a car engine. I'm pretty sure a lot of these things are separate modules, but as you can see, they had to do clever engineering to get everything together in a tight space. So we can compare this car engine to the Marble Machine X, and we can actually see that they're quite similar. This design caused me so much pain because I couldn't get to things and things stopped working. But this design wasn't made with a good design process. I didn't have requirements. I didn't even know what parts I needed on the machine before I started building it. When we take this and crunch it together in one skeleton clock sculpture, I think the audience is going to show up in droves, okay? When we do understand the needs of our separate modules, we can then crunch them together into one single beautiful tight sculpture. Okay, so here's another really cool thing we can do if we don't have only parallel shafts. My absolute favorite mechanical part of the Marble Machine are the flywheels. That's the most beautiful part of the whole machine. And the reason for that is that it's the flywheels that keeps the time. So on my previous machine, can you spot the flywheel? No? It's here. When you put the wheel 90 degrees towards the audience, basically what you see is a rectangle. And you don't see the spokes, anything. You can't see anything. Imagine being like at the back of the concert and it's like, that's the flywheel? You hardly can see it. It's not cool. And if we look at the new machine, you can see that even from the back of the crowd, you can see the flywheels behind me. This was the design before. Boom, you will see it. If I hold it like this, it's not really interesting. If I hold it like this, it's a bit more interesting, right? And imagine when we turn all the wheels like that so you really can see them. I'm gonna stand like in front of a wall of wheels, basically. It feels like that scene in The Rock, when this guy is like rolling through the wheels. That's kind of how it's going to be for me. Hopefully not as dangerous. Here's another scene from the film when they show a wheel from the side. There's a reason why they didn't show it like this, that they showed it like that. So for the same reason, I want to turn everything that moves 90 degrees so the audience can enjoy. And all the wheels will have different speeds, which is going to create this magical effect. So that was the effect of the Marble Machine X. You could see on the side here, all the wheels having all these different speeds. You can imagine the camera angles. We take a close-up of me playing guitar, and you have the wheels like this in the background. A close-up of me manipulating the levers, and everything in the background is moving. The conveyor belt is going up, these wheels are turning, these wheels are turning. Imagine this camera angle. You see everything playing, the drums, the vibraphone, the bass, me, all the wheels moving. Everything here is moving. Like, this is an amazing angle, actually. So imagine you weren't among the people sleeping in sleeping bags outside the arena to get front row seats, and you end up over here. You will still see this wheel moving with your own eyes. Let's talk about this colorful carousel right here. What is this? So this is the famous Pipe Dream Animusic video, and if we scroll down we can see that the top comment is from Vintergatan, returning to this once a week with 16,000 upvotes. This has been like the major inspiration for the entire Marble Machine project. Right here, you have this spinning thing that plays different instruments with the same marbles. So soon there are these 3 cowbell hits that are so iconic. Da, da, da. Let's listen to those. There, da, 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 da. I want to build a carousel like that. You can just have 2 marble tracks hitting a lot of different percussion instruments. So I am going to build an Animusic carousel. So when I was thinking about this project from a strict engineering point of view, I was really into this MVP, minimum viable product. What's the simplest version I could build? And I should build that first. So we should have only a kick drum, a hi-hat and a snare drum, and no cool Animusic carousels and things like that, because that's bells and whistles. And now I've changed my mind a bit that no, I am actually not interested in building a machine that isn't mesmerizing, blowing people's heads off. It's the blowing people's heads off their shoulders. That's the project. These quirky things, the Animusic carousel here is part of the minimum viable product. It needs to be quirky and mesmerizing. I really love this above angle as well. These tracks are not going to be this big. They're way too huge right now. The machine you're seeing here is not the machine that I'm going to build. I'm just fooling around in CAD. So I just want to make one last comparison. 90 degrees. All these beautiful mechanical parts that could be replaced by one single electric motor, we have hidden them away under the floor. So disrespectful. On the new machine, like we're gonna put a governor up here or something, you know. And by the way, let me do that. Look at that. We put the governor on top like a true steampunk governor would be placed. Imagine bringing a friend to a Marble Machine concert and your friend doesn't care as much about the Marble Machine as you do. I'm sure one or two or all of you have spouses that are pretty tired about hearing you talk about the Marble Machine. Imagine you're like dragging them along to seeing this concert and they're like, oh, that was pretty fun. Or you bring them to this concert and the person you drag along to the concert is just overwhelmed with joy that you did, you know? See, I'm thinking about you as well. Next steps. How can I get from fooling around in CAD to actually making some concrete plans? The drivetrain is pretty much solved. I know how to do that. To divide the marbles, I know how to do that. To make the machine play tight, I know how to do that. How to program the machine, I kind of know how to do that. Where do I go from here? I need to write down the design requirements for the music instruments. We have to define how large marbles does the bass need? How many marbles does the bass need? The needs of the bass, how will it affect all the components up here and the programming wheel? I need to define the requirements of the music instruments of this machine. The whole machine then is actually designed from those requirements. So again, this design requirement process teaches me the next steps of in what order I need to do things. I think I'm going to start with the bass guitar. So I have a brand new idea for how to drop marbles on this bass guitar, and if we're lucky, that's already next week's video. A quick shout out to the Marble Machine Engineering Discord server. Everyone here has really helped me finding my way back into the project. And I just also want to say thank you to all the new YouTube members. And I saw that a lot of people who became YouTube member now were members already back at the Marble Machine X. So thank you for not giving up on this stupid project. That really inspires me to absolutely finish a third version of the Marble Machine. Thank you for your support. And it feels like I'm on the right track. This will not be easy. This will be hard. Let's zoom in one last time to me having fun in front of a wall of wheels. Everything in this picture is moving, all right? It's going to be so cool. Good luck with everything you're doing and see you next week. Ciao.